During the 3050s, after the clan invasion, there would be a multitude of experiments when building machines in response to the clan onslaught. Some would be lumbering monstrosities, carrying in their hands great melee weapons. Others would focus on gauss weaponry or new cutting-edge technologies. And this was done in an attempt to redress the balance between the inner sphere and the clans. In this video, instead of observing one of these more extravagant Battlemechs, we are going to examine a machine that instead was built very simply, to move very quickly, to track enemy formations, whether they be clan or inner sphere in their nature, and to help coordinate and guide friendly forces to victory. While there are certainly jokes about the Steiner Scout Lance, the truth is the Lyran Commonwealth, and in this case at the beginning, the Steiner half of the Federated Commonwealth, has consistently invested in superb light chassis to exercise a series of complex functions on the battlefield, including, yes, recon and raiding. Even when a design may not work as intended in this role, they at the very least have put significant resources into making the lightweight bracket a field where the house can be considered at the cutting edge of inner sphere mech design and development. In this video, we are going to go over a Battlemech born on the world of Coventry, by Coventry Metalworks no less. The organization and planet that built the first iteration of the legendary Commando. So without delay, let us break down the Dart. During the clan invasion, logistics were vital to both sides. While the clans proved to have failed in this effort, ultimately costing them the invasion itself, the inner sphere was not without its troubles. Many of their light mechs, including notably for the Federated Commonwealth, the union of houses Steiner and Davion, the Commando and Valkyrie chassis were heavily ammunition dependent. While this didn't doom the inner sphere due to their short supply lines and their much larger industrial base, it did create problems and headaches for frontline commanders should their part of the front line become isolated from friendly territories. A design request was issued by the armed forces of the Federated Commonwealth to find a solution to this problem. They wanted a long-range recon mech, which could move incredibly fast, all while being able to be deployed without long-term support, almost mirroring the traditional Oscout, funnily enough, but with more firepower on board. In fact, the Federated Sons even envisioned this mech as a raider. It'd be Coventry Metalworks that would acquire the contract, when they proposed their 25-ton recon, raiding, and simple military asset, the DRT-3S Dart. In order to further support the Dart's requirements to be serviced quite easily in the field, it employs almost no advanced technologies on board for the time. This does limit some of its functionality, but inevitably, House Steiner Davion at the time of its employment had a vision for these mechs that lined up with the requirements of the day. The mech itself would even be deployed during 3051 for the first time, during the invasion itself, though not against the clans. The first of these mechs would be employed in the periphery, fighting bandits and pirates in order to test the mech's overall attributes and to see what teething problems might have come out. After this, the AFFC put these on the border with the Jade Falcons and Wolves until the implosion of the Federated Commonwealth, where they would be fiercely deployed by both sides. In the aftermath of the Civil War and its division, the Dart, in all of its configurations, would be solely manufactured by House Steiner, though they would be exported by the Lyrans to the Federated Sons in later years, as well as being provided to favored mercenary units. In total, the Dart's reputation is not that of a heavily gunned, technologically sophisticated battlemech. It is renowned as a fast scout, and one which is bare bones, so it can be easily taken care of in the field. It won't win any battles on its own, but it's not meant to. And in the worst case scenario, it's always fast enough to run away. The first configuration of this Battlemech to appear, which was in 3051, the 25-ton light mech known as the DRT-3S Dart, is an extremely simple and affordable recon asset. While it has many admirable traits, it is far from being a Goliath on the battlefield. Still, it will perform its duties more than acceptably if employed in the kinds of engagements it was built for. It has, as you can imagine, a standard internal structure, gyro, and cockpit. Better yet, it even has 10 standard heatsinks. Not even installing doubles, because there's no need. It's still heat neutral, so that's not a worrying for this daring little machine. As far as electronics are concerned, it has a Cyclops 14 communications package, as well as a Cyclops Multitasker 10 targeting and tracking system. The additional quirk the Dart has in the advanced rules is that of the extended torso twist trait. The life's blood of any light mech, and the core defining element of any Battlemech in almost any role, mobility is key to the effectiveness of the Dart. Built during the time after the discovery of the Helm memory core, one would assume that it has some kind of advanced engine or myomers, but this just isn't the case. The Dart uses a basic power plant to drive it. This adds durability to the mech, which it desperately needs, and makes the mech easier to maintain, repair, or, well, replace. To make this magical mobility happen, the DRT-3S comes with a 10-ton Vox 225 standard fusion engine. This lets it hit a maximum speed of a more than respectable 151 km per hour, or 14 movement points in the tabletop game. This does take up the most space on the mech in terms of its tonnage, but this is a vital feature for this vehicle. As stated earlier, mobility is its shield and its weapon, as with any light mech, especially in the 25-ton weight bracket. With its mobility, it can run behind terrain to guard itself, or dash behind an enemy vehicle or mech to cause chaos in the rear of their position. Just don't get caught. To say that the Dart has defense beyond its mobility is in and of itself a joke. Much like most Battlemechs in this weight class, it's just not possible for it to defend itself any other way, especially given the era and the mech's construction. It does not have the tonnage for either significant armor or for an ECM of any sort. It just doesn't exist. Even if the Dart was built originally in a later era, where it may benefit from specialized plating, it'd defeat the purpose of keeping its cost down, and making it easier to service and repair. There are two configurations that come later that do try to amend this with new types of armor, but they were not necessarily assembled for the world that the Dart was made for. So what does the Dart do for defense? It has 3.5 tons of standard armor, yielding it 56 points of protection overall. This is abysmal, but if you were expecting more, you're crazier than Catherine Steiner Davion. As I mentioned in the movement portion of the video, don't get caught, or someone is going to smoke this Dart. At first glance, the DRT-3S is very poorly armed. It only has 3 tons on board to play with, so really, not a lot. In the case of the 3S, it comes only with 3 Magna 200p small pulse lasers. These have the very short range of only 3 hexes, and only do 3 damage per attack. Now, this isn't a lot, but there are some advantages to this meager payload. To start with, these are very accurate, gaining a 2 modifier to hit at any distance. Second, these are infantry killers. They will shred through light infantry and light-skinned vehicles, making them great for backline harassment in campaigns, or for seizing objectives while the real fighting is happening elsewhere. On top of this, they don't have ammunition on board, which is a boon for survivability and battlefield longevity. Now, with all that being said, these are just not mech or vehicle fighting components. Unless it can score repeated back attacks, or it's pitted against other very thinly armored battlemechs. Don't get caught in a straight shooting match, unless it's maybe with a Locust or something. The DTR-3S Dart is not the most impressive light mech, but it has its virtues. Often, some will throw almost any mech under the bus just for any reason. Frankly, also, an expensive 100-ton undergunned mech will have a lot more trouble proving their worth than a light recon asset. This mech is inexpensive on the table. It's inexpensive in universe. It's fast, and it can cut down infantry and backline targets. If there are objectives it can run for to seize quickly, it has an advantage as well. If you use the dart to engage a Wolverine, or even a Wolfhound, you're likely to experience tragedy, because that's not its purpose. When employed smartly, and in the right role, this spiritual flash from the past has its uses. There are a couple configurations of the dart out there, but they are typically quite simple themselves. Built along with the 6S, the DRT-4S in 3053 offers a greater variance of use for the chassis. In the case of the DTR-4S, it's got a very easy upgrade for the machine. I'll just come out and say it, the 4S's role as a backstabber is far more pronounced, and the mech's upfront firepower is much improved. All it does is flip out the small pulse lasers for medium lasers. This means it is incredibly ineffective against infantry, but it can do a number on mechs and tanks that aren't watching their backs. Other light mechs may also have trouble dealing with this machine if it can be allowed to move the way it wants. It's an improvement for many mech-on-mech engagements. Definitely. Would you like some more armor? Oh, you would? Excellent! Increasing its cost and equipping it with advanced technology, the DTR-6S installs ferrofibrous armor plating, and 1 more ton of it at that. This will yield it 80 points of armor, which is more respectable for its weight. This durability will ensure that the mech is able to withstand more punishment. It does come at the cost of 1 ton of weaponry, however, so it only has 2 medium lasers. Still, it's an effective upgrade all the same, and has more sustainability. This is even less useful though in a straight-up firefight. The latest generation of dart constructed that we are aware of, this Blakest era light mech leans once more into more advanced technologies. It saves weight and employs more protection overall. To do this, it replaces out its standard engine for a light fusion engine, causing it to lose some of its durability and survivability, but in favor of weight to spend on other things. Next up, it retains the 80 points of armor of the 6S. With what's left of its weight, it has a head-mounted ER small laser, and a center torso-mounted light PPC, making it an excellent harasser. Better yet, to enhance these weapons further, it has a targeting computer. Overall, this is the most advanced and expensive dart, and it really can deliver when employed as a still relatively inexpensive harasser. Just don't get caught. Piercing through the air around it, the dart will charge towards its objective, whether that be to capture and control, or the rear-facing armor of an enemy mech. This quick-moving light mech has its virtues, and it has its issues. It's fast and inexpensive. These are genuinely boons, and to say otherwise is most certainly folly. However, even in its most optimized form, it lacks the firepower or durability, or both, for a straight-up fight. It's a light recon asset. Treat it like one, and it will treat you well in turn. Should you not? Well, Clan Jade Falcon is always more than willing to get a cheap victory over an LCAF battalion, regardless of how much they protest to the contrary. Thank you all for joining me here today. This was just a short video. There really just isn't all that much to say about the dart, but it does have some cool stuff overall. If you enjoyed the video, remember to like, and if you're new here, remember to subscribe. I am working on an absolutely enormous new video about the Warhammer 2C, which is going to cover Clan Staradder, and explore parts of Clan Seafox, as well as Snowraven. It's going to have brand new Warhammer 2C art from Alan Blackwell as well. The man who designed the channel mascot that you see right now The Rock. You won't want to miss it. It's going to be nuts. Just give me a month or two, that's all I need. With that though, I want to send a huge thank you to all of the channel members, whether you be a Mechwarrior or any of the rankings above. You make all of this happen. This content is really only possible because of viewers like you. And with that, what did you think of the dart? I'll catch you on the comment section below to find out.